Greetings and welcome to our show, Ghosts Are Near, where we discuss various aspects of the paranormal. My name is Keith Johnson. I am your host and the founder of New England Anomalies Research. With me are my co-host Sandra Johnson.
Hi.
Co-founder of New England Anomalies Research.
That's me.
My brother Carl Johnson.
Hello there.
And as we begin, I'd like to say a little special something about one of our members. Christopher Finch is recently married, and all of our members seem to be getting married. First Andrew and now Chris. And
It's an epidemic.
it is, yes. We want to congratulate him and his lovely wife, Becky, and he's also on his way to the service. So we wish him Godspeed and God bless, and we want to thank him especially for defending our country and sacrificing for us. And we'll miss him while he's gone very, very much.
Yes, indeed.
We're so proud of you, Chris.
Yes, we are. Way to go. Now, we have a very special guest with us who happens to be an angelologist. What exactly is an angelologist? You've heard of a demonologist. What is an angelologist? Well, we're about to find out. I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Renee Smith, who is also a member of TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. Hello, Renee, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Keith. How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Good.
So glad you could be with us. Now, let's get the definition. What is an angelologist?
An angelologist is basically somebody that studies angels, that researches them and sometimes can communicate with them or uses them in some way or another.
Mm-hmm. I know the study of angels is very popular lately. You always hear stories lately of how angels have intervened in people's lives. And let me ask you, what first interested you in angelology? How did you decide to start studying?
Well, I've always been interested in the paranormal and in angels since I was a kid. I guess I can say that the reason why I got into angelology is when I was very young, I had a cousin. Her name was Angela, and she died at a very young age when she was 6 years old. And that always stayed with me, and that's what basically brought me into this field.
Mm-hmm. I see. And do you still feel you have a close connection with Angela?
Yes, I always have.
I know you were more like twins in life than
Mm-hmm.
cousins. You resembled each other quite a bit, and you shared a very close sisterhood almost. And so that's what started you in angelology, would you say? Your
Yeah.
interest?
Yes.
Yeah. And the paranormal in general?
Yeah. Yep. In general, the paranormal, that's kind of where everything started rolling for me.
Mm-hmm. Now, how did you get into paranormal investigation?
I have a friend who is involved. I have a friend who was involved in TAPS.
Mm-hmm.
I met him in college,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to talking about the paranormal and different experiences and feelings. And he said to me, "Well, I'm involved in this paranormal group. Why don't you come along and go to a meeting and meet everybody and see if you like it?"
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a meeting and I stuck with it.
And the
I've
rest
been
is
with it.
history, and that's how you and I met through the Atlantic Paranormal Society.
Yes, exactly.
And we've had our adventures in investigating.
Mm-hmm.
May I say you're an excellent investigator.
Thank you.
Very, very dedicated, very
you.
knowledgeable. So tell us more about angels in general.
Well,
What is an angel?
an angel is basically known as a messenger of God,
Mm-hmm.
is what you could call it. That's what angelos is, the Latin version of angel, and it literally means messenger.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they represent. They're usually seen as the link between God and humans.
I see. Mm-hmm. And do you believe that they intervene in people's lives on
Yeah.
a daily basis?
Yep, I believe that they do on a daily basis. In tragic situations especially, they do.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that they're part of everyday life.
Yeah. You mentioned communicating with angels. Could you tell us a little about that?
Yep. On investigations, I have actually called upon angels
Mm-hmm.
for protection or for help of the client or within the investigation. One way that you basically get into the feeling of communicating with them is a breathing exercise that I tend to do, is just basically getting into a meditative state. If you get into a room that's comfortable, get into a meditative state, start breathing in and out, kind of feel the rhythm of your breath, and you can think of kind of a peaceful place. And you can use that as a way of communicating with angels.
Now, I've seen advertisement for angel workshops where somebody can go to these workshops and actually learn how to meditate and communicate with their angel to the point where they derive the angel's name and everything like that. Do you believe that? That people can get their angels' names and speak to them that closely? Or
I personally don't really believe that I believe in guardian angels, but I don't necessarily know if everybody has a specific angel that's attached to them. I believe that angels just in general can kind of go from person to person and help them as they need to.
Right. Now, you believe in the theological explanations of angels as opposed to the way they're portrayed in movies, theatrically, like Hollywood version, and what do you want to tell me about that? Like, what's the difference between a Hollywood angel and a real angel is what I'm saying.
Well, you know, a Hollywood angel is very dramatized, has wings and floats and has a halo and things like that.
We've all seen It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, and angels that are real angels of God tend to be, well, first of all, there's different choirs of angels, and basically the ones that are closest to God do not connect with humans, and there's specific angels that do connect with humans, that do appear to humans, and they tend to show up or show themselves as being what a person can associate with. So if you're, you know, somebody of a certain culture, the angel's going to appear as being within that same culture, somebody that you can relate to.
Oh, I see. And I understand that other cultures, of course, have their own versions and understanding of angels and how they interact with us.
Yeah, lots of other cultures that I've heard of have some sort of a being that acts as a messenger, sort of that filler between God and humans. And anywhere from the, you know, Hebrew religion to Islam, you know, Catholicism, Judaism, all different religions have some sort of representation that they consider. It might not be called an angel, but it's what they consider an angel.
So your opinion of an angel is not a deceased person who has gone on to a higher plane and graduated and received their wings and their halo, right?
No, I do not believe in that.
You believe it's an inhuman spirit being?
Yes, it's something that has never been a human before on Earth.
I know Sandra has some questions for you as well. She's very eager to ask about angels and angelology. And
Sure.
Well, I was just going to make a comment. I guess, you know, what you were just saying about the angelic beings being inhuman spirits, never having walked on the earth. That's where your two specialties overlap, you know, with the demonology, the demonic never having walked on the earth. But I want to also touch on something else that you said, you know, about angels and wings. Why do you think in common culture, art, paintings, you know, this kind of thing, you know, we think of angels as having wings or halo or whatever?
Well, I think it comes down to years and years and years ago, where, first of all, the initial thought of what an angel is that they live up in the sky, they're from the sky, and that would, you know, how would they get from the sky to the earth? They would have to have wings, they would have to fly here. Also, when there have been sightings of angels, people have seen some sort of a light behind them, and that's where the halo would come
Maybe
from.
it's interpreted as...
Exactly. It's completely an interpretation. People trying to express what they see and what they experience on painting, and that's the best way that they can represent those pieces that they experience.
Renee, do you believe that these are celestial beings? In other words, they come from on high, or they might be among us? Where do you feel angels reside, or where do they proceed from?
I think they reside all around us. I think they're within our plane, and I believe that they exist in a different plane. Not necessarily a plane in the sky, but some sort of a separate
Other dimension.
dimension that we don't see.
Mm-hmm.
And you had said that on investigations you sometimes invoke angelic protection or intervention.
Mm-hmm.
Do you call upon a specific angel by name, or just anyone who's in the area? Come on and help.
Generally, I'll call upon some of the higher angels for protection. Michael's, especially one of the angels that I'll call upon.
Archangel Michael.
Yeah, Gabrielle is another one that I'll call upon. And sometimes there's different angels of protection and that can help people. So I've called upon various different angels. I mean, I don't claim to see angels, so I can't necessarily say, okay, I'm going to call upon this angel because he's in the closest area.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to ask, because you said that you use a breathing exercise as a prerequisite to calling upon angelic intervention. Do you ever perceive that you have actually called an angelic being, and you can tell that this being is with you, or?
Yeah, I believe that I have. It's a feeling that you get. You get a really peaceful, calm feeling when you call upon an angel, and I believe that I have what I think is experiencing the presence of an angel. Very spiritual, very, like I said, very calm feeling.
That's interesting, because when people have reported they suspect the presence of a demon, they will feel agitated and oppressed, and if something is hostile about them, something is...
And sick to your stomach, that sort of thing.
Unpleasant sensations are associated with demonic presence, and that would be the antithesis of what you experience in angelic presence.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between one presence and another presence.
I've heard people report the scent of roses if they have an angelic experience, that they've smelt roses in the area. Have you ever experienced something like that?
I personally have not, but I have heard the same thing, that you will have some sort of a good smell. Roses are considered a very beautiful, very nice, fresh smell, and I think that's what a lot of people have experienced, smelling that as well.
I've heard of sensing the scent of roses after a house has been exorcised of a demonic influence, that sometimes you can sense the scent of roses or other flowers. I wonder if that's maybe indicates that not only have you eradicated whatever negative influence that was there, but you've also maybe invited in something, an angelic presence or protection.
I believe that it is possible that can happen. I mean, you're ridding of one, like you said, of one presence, and a better presence could come in. I mean, what happened in history, or what's said to have happened in history, is the fall of the angels. Certain angels came to earth, and basically created a lot of chaos. And what is said is that specific angels, such as Gabrielle, came to earth to rid the evil off the earth. So there's a possibility that as one leaves, the other, they might even be ridding these evil demonic beings from the location.
Yes, and that's another point, that getting back to the angelology, demonology aspect, a lot of people assume that all angels are good, which is not necessarily true, correct?
That's true. It's true that they're not necessarily all good. You can have, well, first of all, angels initially, they were all, angels were generally good, and several angels decided to rebel and go to earth. And as I said, a lot of catastrophe, a lot of things happened when that occurred. And so that's where the fallen angels come from. And you can have, basically, these fallen angels have become demonics. And you can have these demonic beings popping up and, again, pretending like they're angels and trying to be something that they're not. And that's something that could be experienced.
So that would connote that angels possess free will. They can make their own decisions. They can decide to be destructive or benevolent.
I think that demonics might be able to do that.
You know what it seems? It seems that at one point in history, all angels may have had free will, just as humans do now. Of course, they're vastly superior to us, but they were allowed to make their choice, and it seems to be very much an eternal choice what they made. You know, back in prehistory. I know it's a big mystery, and nobody has the whole story, but
yeah, that's a possibility that something like that has happened.
I know in popular culture, and I'm just thinking of a movie that I saw. I think it was City of Angels.
Oh yes, exactly.
With the angel that was in that movie didn't have free choice, or the angels that were in that movie were portrayed as
Nicolas
not.
Cage portrayed
Nicolas
an angel
Cage, that's the actor's name. I couldn't think of his
I
name.
remember.
fell in love with a human and decided to become human so he could be with her, and of course that's again a Hollywood portrayal, but I think
At least they didn't have wings.
Right, they didn't have wings. I like the way
Yeah,
they dressed
yeah.
all in black. They were very cool, but
But I wouldn't think they'd have that much free choice to become human and pair up with Meg Ryan.
No, but he didn't have too many. He wasn't allowed too many choices, from what I recall, except that particular decision was left up to him.
So he had to go one way or
could
the
do
other. He
that.
had to reject his immortality, his angelhood, and become
Right.
human for her.
Now, Renee, you as a paranormal investigator, say you're on a case where you're investigating a building or a location that's reputedly haunted, or you're working with a client, a family who have called you in as an investigator. You're with a group of investigators. How would you say your function differs from the other investigators, or does it?
Well, I believe I can do anything that just about anybody can do. I mean, I can do field research just like anybody else can. I think in some cases my role may change depending on the situation.
Right.
I like to find out what the religion of the family is, more or less, because I would not like to offend them if they do. If if they're atheists or something, they don't believe in religion in any way. I would rather not impress my beliefs on them.
Right, you're not going to push your beliefs on. Yeah.
But I feel that if something's happening and they want to get rid of it and they want help with it, I will sit down with them and kind of give them some information of what they can do to try to protect themselves.
Yes.
I guess you could say, and ways that they can, like I said, go into meditating and try to kind of calm themselves and maybe even communicate with an angel and try to see if they can rid what's going on with them. So that's something that I've done, and I mean, I've definitely worked with you in doing things like that, as far as going in and doing some prayers and trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, I think we've always worked well together, very well together.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I know you were on an episode of Ghost Hunters.
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about that? It's already aired, so.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not like
not
you're
a big
giving anything
secret.
away.
It's been in repeats, definitely. There's not that much that happened there. We went to a lighthouse in Connecticut, and it was the New London Lighthouse. And, I mean, there was supposedly activity there had scared these, I guess, these people that were staying at the lighthouse, and they were so scared they were huddling in a corner. What was supposed to have happened there is, I believe the innkeeper of the lighthouse, he was, I believe his wife cheated on him or something like that. He was taking care of the lighthouse and his wife cheated on him, so he jumped off the lighthouse and killed himself. So there's supposed to be activity there. We didn't catch anything while we were there, and we basically recorded and gathered evidence for 2 days.
Yeah.
But, you know, there always could be evidence. It just might not have happened while we were there.
Because you're only there for a limited amount of time.
Exactly,
Yeah, right.
exactly. So it was a very good episode. I definitely enjoyed it. It was different.
Now, when you were going to be on, I was hoping that they'd show you doing your specialty, because usually, like when I've been on Ghost Hunters, or Carl's been on Ghost Hunters, we're there as demonologists, we're there dealing with inhuman spirits. So I was kind of hoping that they would show you doing your specialty, doing an angelic invocation or something, but
Yeah.
they didn't really get into your specialty in the episode, as I recall.
No, they didn't really. They got into my technical specialty.
Yeah, you did kind of save the day, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
There was an equipment failure, and
Isn't it a generator that they needed or something like that? And you-
Basically, I work for a company that has battery backup, so they had asked me to bring my battery backup and my specialty for that. So that's what happened is the power went out at one point while we're investigating, which if we hadn't had that, the DVR system would have lost hours and hours of footage because it doesn't save until you stop.
The DVR system where they have multiple cameras positioned throughout the dwelling or
Exactly.
the house.
Yep, and it just keeps recording until the recording, it runs out or you stop the recording, and I don't think that it saves to disk at any point. So if we would have lost power at that point,
Right,
we
they
would have
wouldn't have
lost
had
all
any
of that.
recording for those rooms.
Exactly.
so you actually saved the day.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the night.
Yes, right.
So it was I saved the day in a different way.
Right, you did, yeah. But as I recall, they didn't wind up catching evidence, as you just mentioned, or they didn't wind up debunking it either. It was inconclusive, right?
Exactly. I believe that they thought that they had something, a shadow on a window, and I think that's the only thing that they debunked. They determined that it was somebody else's shadow.
Right.
So basically, yeah, there wasn't much activity when we were there.
Yeah, we could have used you the other day. We just lost our power for like, what, 3 times, was it, Sandra?
I don't know how many times I reset our clocks.
Because of the storm that happened?
Oh,
A lot
yeah.
of people did.
Yeah.
Keith asked me to record something on the timer with the VCR today, and I was like, well, it's going to take me a long time, and we're going to be late for the taping
That's
because
right,
we have to
reprogram everything, yeah.
reprogram the VCR, and it's just
It's supposed to
Too
rain
much.
and storm today.
Oh, yes.
we're always the first ones to lose our power. So
Renee, may I just take a minute to ask you another question about angels? Do you have one central experience that convinced you or helped you to believe in the existence of angels? I don't know if it related to your cousin Angela.
I really can't say that I've had a specific experience that I can relate to an angel. I can say that I used to communicate with my cousin when I was younger, and after she had died, I used to communicate with her, and I definitely had a connection with her. I don't, like I said, that's my big experience that I've had in my life, one of the
Yes.
big experiences, but nothing that I can specifically say is angelic. I think that this got me into the paranormal world, and from there I just kind of focused on my niche, and that's basically what
Right.
how
got me here.
about any interesting experiences that you can remember from your investigations with TAPS outside of the Ghost Hunters show?
Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of experiences. I've never seen anything. Everybody asks me, have you ever seen anything? I've never seen anything with my own eyes, outside of seeing orbs or something like that. The 2 biggest experiences that I can say is, one, I was at a house in Providence. Actually, Keith was with me. I was at a house in Providence, and there was a lot of energy in this particular house. And Keith and I were upstairs in what would have been the guy's room. And we're sitting there just chatting. There's a cat on a bureau. And as you all probably know, cats are pretty sensitive to activity. Cat was sleeping on the bureau, and all of a sudden the cat kind of peeked its head up and looked over to one area of the room where we had actually recorded that a chair had moved earlier in the case. So I went and walked over there, and I felt like a finger was going up and down my back, like this. And that was, I would say, definitely the most amazing feeling I had.
You can't blame me. I wasn't there for that investigation.
No, that wasn't you.
No.
And it wasn't Keith. He was across the room.
Right, and I remember I was kind of using you as the test
The
subject.
guinea pig.
Right,
Go
exactly.
stand over there. See what the cat's looking
Yeah,
at. Yeah.
did get results.
Did it disturb you at all, or were you just amused and fascinated? Or
I was completely fascinated. It didn't scare me. It didn't freak me out in any way. I was absolutely, wow,
I didn't
this
experience
is...
anything disturbing in that house.
No.
That was more fascinating than anything.
Yeah, and the previous owner, that the person that we were investigating in the house, I guess you could say, he really liked women. I could say that.
Yeah.
And whenever, like when I walked in there, I was automatically told before I walked in there, everybody told me, he's going to stick to women, he loves women, he's going to, whatever. So I walked in there, and it was a cold day out, but it was very warm in that house, and just my shoulders were freezing. The entire time I was there, just my shoulders were freezing. So that was, like I said, that was really amazing experience to be in there.
He had his journal there. Remember his big journal there where he'd recorded all his voyeurisms.
Yeah.
His ladies were in love with him, and he covered quite a few decades in that journal too. And
Yeah. He
fascinating.
was apparently a very adventurous man.
Oh yes. A lot of inventions too.
Reputation lingers, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
disappointed I didn't get to participate with that. I've heard so much about it.
Yeah,
Ever
it was
since.
it was really
Have to
good.
get back there sometime.
Yeah, we
Somehow, some way.
I remember you and I way up in Maine in minus 40 degree weather, freezing in the house, blessing an entire house that had no electricity in it. And by the time we get around to the angelic invocation, we're pretty well done. It's like our lips were freezing, so we could
Yeah.
hardly speak. But
Well, I think wasn't the blessed water, didn't that freeze?
yes,
in
the holy
bottom?
water was
The holy
frozen
water.
solid, so we were just trying to flake
That's
ice
cold.
crystals out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to throw holy ice cubes
Yeah.
at the walls.
Yep. So, I mean, as a paranormal investigator, yeah, you spend,
Yeah.
hours and hours watching nothing a lot of the times, and sometimes
a
in
lot
the
of
freezing
people don't
cold.
realize that when they see it portrayed on the media too and on TV. You don't realize the hours and hours that just go into it. But it's worth it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
I
definitely
think
well
it's all
worth
worth
it.
it. Well, is anything in closing you'd like to tell us about any of your angelic experiences or advice you can give to anybody? Might want to know more about their guardian spirit, how to contact them. You mentioned the breathing exercise.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend doing a breathing exercise to try to, connect with them. And if you really want to feel more spiritual and just overall, even if you don't have an experience, it will allow you to just completely calm yourself down and get yourself into a safe place. Another thing I would say is that, if anybody's interested in angels, then do all the research you can and find out as much as you can about them.
Good advice, and thank you so much, Renee. I really appreciate it.
Thank
you
you.
for being our guest.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks,
In-
Renee.
In
Thank you.
closing, Sandra, would you like to mention some of our contact info?
Well, yes. As always, we'd like you to know that we at New England Anomalies Research are available to research local hauntings or assist those of you who may be experiencing unexplained phenomena in your home or place of business. We'd also like to hear from you if you have a show suggestion or even if you would like to be a guest on Ghosts Are Near. So give us all a shout at ghostsAreNear@inbox.com. We'll believe you.
Very good. God bless. Until next time, goodbye, friends.
Thank you.